regardless. So you may want to get that done. I know him; he's a very honorable fellow, but stuff happens.
All right, Commissioner Julie Sanders has been patient.
One thing I wanted to point out for some of our newer commissioners is back when Cascade High School was built, I know this was a big problem and we went through this, and I know it improved significantly. And one of the things that the schools did back then was they alternated the times that they start, and that helped quite a bit, and the times they end. And I know that the elementary school and the high school don't start at the same times anymore, and I think that did help quite a bit.
They all three start at different times.
Commissioner Yaki.
And I asked Dr. Garrett, but just for the rest of the commissioners, there is a paid crossing guard assigned to the school.
There is a paid crossing guard. I do want to say, though, they are hard to find. It is a low-paying job with few hours, but we do have one, a great one, in that area.
Commissioner Maddox.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to kind of quickly say, Dr. Garrett, thank you for being here. Mr. Clanton, thanks for being here as well. And I also want to say thank you to you as well, Mr. Clanton, for being there on every email exchange and every phone call. It's been very instrumental to, especially, I'm sure Commissioner Hooker and I, as we talk to the constituents out in the community. I know that you mentioned that there is talks about a plan being worked out, and I understand that, and I understand that nothing is on paper at this time, but can you give the rest of the body here kind of an idea of when you feel an appropriate plan, a viable plan, a solution would be in place to simply address the congestion that's already there, and if this opportunity presents itself and is approved, to relieve the congestion and the kind of the harder times that some of these folks are having getting in and out of that school?
Our goal is to have something in place next year. Our dream would be to have, some places to bring those cars off the road, as many as we can. That would take maybe gravel, maybe some more asphalt to get them on our campus and off those main roads. When you make a transition change, it's best to do that when the new year starts. And so hopefully we could have that in place and continue to study, to put all our brains together, to school side, county side, and make the best plan so we could get the information out to parents and implement it for the next school year.
Commissioner Epperson.
I would like to amend the motion on the floor to say what John T. said, that we should continue, as long as it's a contingency that we have the frontage that we need, then we would approve it.
Okay, who made the motion? We need to make sure they're going to accept that. Who made the original motion?
I made the motion, but can we do that? I mean, that's a zoning issue, and it's not in the zoning.
You're correct about that, but I think it would hold if you pass that contingent upon getting it in the short term. That's why I asked Mark Clanton, does he know what he needs generally?
So the question is Commissioner Thomas, will you accept amendment to your motion? Because there's a motion, a second on the floor.
I just need a clarification how we hold him up without holding him hostage.
Back to the legal. What say you?
If he's promising to do something, that's the basis for this rezoning, I think you can make it contingent upon that. Now, the practical problem is going to be what you want, but I would think, as slick as you are in the connections you got with TDOT, you could figure that out. But if you want to disregard that and move forward, I mean, he's an honorable man. If he's around here and he's alive, I don't think there'd be much problem.
Commissioner Thomas, do you wish to accept
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I do.
And then who was the second to you were the second, and you're comfortable with that?
I'm okay with it too, but I can tell you right now, I know Dwayne Sullivan really well, and his word is his bond.
Right.
But now, whatever y'all want to do is fine, but I'm with Mark
But
Thomas
the motion on the
this one. His
floor,
word is his bond.
and with the second was to approve it, and she offered the amendment, and y'all are in agreement with the amendment. So everybody understands that's now the main motion.
in doing that, but I don't want this to slow him down on what he's planning on doing while we make up our mind whether we want 20 feet or 100 feet. Now, we need to get on that and not hold him up at all.
That's a very good practical problem, and I don't know whether Mark can solve that or not.
I can solve that question about how much we need, but it's not gonna be a quick thing. I'll have to get with TDOT, and we'll have to look at future plans of what we would like to see in that intersection that TDOT would allow. So if you do make an amendment to the motion, just don't put a specified amount of what you've got, just for future things. I can almost say with somewhat 50% certainty, it would be no less than 50-foot additional right-of-way there. And I think that should do that, but I don't want that be locked in stone because I don't have that. We're not that far along in the process for me to give you a length of that.
Okay, so what I think's being said, and let's make sure we're clear on it, and then you guys go where you want to go, is if you accept this amendment to be contingent on, if he doesn't have what the contingent is, the zoning can't go forward. Is that what you're saying?
If you choose to pass it that way, that is correct. Now, you could make your part of it loose enough that wouldn't hold him up. If you think it would be a maximum of pick of footage, then, and you're saying maybe 50 or no more if you want to make it, or withdraw that if you want to march forward. And I'm like Squire Anderson here. If he's around and alive, his word is good as gold. But he may not be. I'm just looking at the gotchas which seem to come up more and more these days.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Vitt.
this sounds to me like it's a conditional rezoning, and I don't know that we can do that. I mean, can we put conditions on whether we're going to rezone or not? I think the original motion was, are we going to rezone, yes or no? Mr. Clanton's already said he's had discussions with them. The owner's already said he's going to do this. Why are we talking about putting additional conditions on there, 50 feet, 80 feet, 100 feet, 1,000 feet? I mean, that puts everybody in a hot box right there. I'm not comfortable with where we are.
As long as you know what I just said, and if you're comfortable moving forward, and I would be too, but.
Again, but I believe Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Anderson agreed they're okay with it being amended to what Commissioner Epperson is suggesting. So are we still in agreement with that, or do you want to say no to that? Commissioner Thomas, you had the motion.
I'd like to withdraw that, deal with the rezoning and that only, and I'm like Commissioner Anderson.
Okay.
I've known Dwayne Sullivan all my life, worked with him, and.
So Commissioner Epperson, are you willing to withdraw that, or do you want to vote?
I'm fine. I think that, like they said, if he's around, he'll do it. I see where John T's saying, he could have a heart attack tomorrow and die.
Okay. So Commissioner Anderson has.
With Commissioner Thomas, I want to withdraw too. I've known Dwayne my whole life. He's a good friend of mine. He's an honorable guy, and his words is bond.
So, Mr. Chairman, we're back on the original motion.
That's correct. We're back on the original motion unless there's a second by somebody, I guess, to try to go for the amendment. But again, the original has not agreed to it, so it would be a vote off then to become the main motion. So do you want to withdraw, or you want to keep your motion in the mix, Commissioner Epperson?
I'll withdraw it. That's
all right. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Commissioner Thompson, I'm sorry.
It seems like we have two issues here about the same thing. It's we've got one out 41A that wanted to put a.
You can't really mix these.
I know, but my question was, as a beer board member for years, he is aware that he cannot get a beer license. That's correct.
Okay, Commissioner Mark Thomas.
And I had this discussion with Dwayne, and his words is, he knows that. He said, I make more money off selling a biscuit than I can do a can of beer. And I quote him in saying that.
Okay, any other comments? So the motion on the floor is to approve it off the recommendation of favorable. So yes would be to rezone it, no would be to not rezone it, and somebody had their hand up. So all right, Commissioner Johnson.
When, for those of you on the Planning Commission, when he comes back with his site plan, doesn't it have to be reapproved? Doesn't it have to be approved by the zoning office codes?
Yes.
So there's another chance to look at it before it's approved by them to see if he's gone through with that. So I'm comfortable with that then.
Commissioner Yaki.
And I know John T. knows all, but I'm very uncomfortable about tacking something else on to a motion that came from the Planning Commission, but
Call the question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we got the question called. Are we ready to vote? Okay. Now, when your name's called, vote for or against. Yes is that we're going to rezone it per the request of the, or recommendation of the Planning Commission, and no would be not to rezone it. Does everybody understand what they're voting on? Okay, when your name's called, vote for or against.
Commissioner Yaki, Commissioner Vick,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Mark Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanders,
Yes.
Commissioner Pinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Neely, Commissioner Maddox,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hooker,
Yes.
Commissioner Farrer,
Aye.
Commissioner Epperson,
Yes.
Commissioner Brothers,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyette,
Yes.
Commissioner Boutwell,
Yes?
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Does anyone wish to change your vote? 17 ayes, 0 noes.
All right, and next item on there is the rezoning that we had the public hearing regarding 41A North, the 3034 41A North. So this rezoning placed on the agenda by the Rules and Legislative Committee without a recommendation. The Planning Commission's recommendation was unfavorable to rezone it. What's the wishes of the body?
move to follow the wishes of the Planning Commission.
Which would be unfavorable. So we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Brothers seconded that. All right, now we're open for discussion on this one. Is there any particular comment? All right.
Call the question.
All right. Yes would be honoring the recommendation of the Planning Commission, which would be unfavorable. So understand that if you vote yes, you're voting to not rezone it. If you vote no, then that would be to rezone it for the purpose of this. Everybody understand what you're voting on? When your name's called, vote for or against.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Boutwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyette,
Yes.
Commissioner Brothers,
Yes.
Commissioner Epperson,
Yes.
Commissioner Farrer,
Aye.
Commissioner Hooker,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox,
Yes.
Commissioner Neely, Commissioner Pinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanders,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Mark Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Vick,
Yes.
Commissioner Yaki.
Yes.
Does anyone wish to change your vote? 17 ayes, 0 noes.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch here. Nothing to report under law enforcement, courthouse and property. Under financial management, we do have the BCMS uncollectibles. That's a formality this body needs to approve, those being written off.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and I believe we don't have anything else except announcements. Yes. Were you the motion to approve, Drew? Okay, Commissioner Hooker, you got it? All right. Nothing on the other business, so we're on to announcements. I've got a couple announcements I need to make, and then there may be more among us here. So we want to say a big thank you to the Chevrolet Public Works employees who did a fantastic job with lighting the outdoor tree and wreaths for us this year. I believe it was Kevin Garin, Adam Heiss, Rodney Lamb, Joseph Talley, and a special thanks to Buck Ballard with the city who coordinated this for us. I also want to remind you of the holiday schedule since it's upon us and the offices, the main offices will be closed a few of those days. So for the Christmas holiday, it'll be Thursday, Friday, and Monday, which would be December the 22nd, 23rd, and 26th. These are posted on our site and will be posted. And then Christmas Eve, which was Friday, December the 30th, we'll be observing that day. So those are the holidays that the main administrative offices will be closed. Obviously, public safety continues to operate. And I want to remind everyone that the County Powers Act workshop is coming up on December the 21st. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. at 200 Dover Street. And it says don't have to sign up. So this is something that Rules and Legislative Committee's been looking at, studying, thinking about. And there's going to be a workshop on it, so anyone that has interest in understanding more about that, wouldn't be an action that night by the body, it would be simply fact-finding in relation to that. And I want to remind you, the Financial Management Committee, because of the holidays, is going to meet next Tuesday, the same night that the regular other committees meet in advance of you. At the 4:15 time, they'll be here because all the other meetings are here that night. They won't meet at Dover Street. So everybody understand, I want to be clear about it. So 4:15, they'll meet, and then the other committees under their normal schedules will meet right behind that. Those are the things that I had wrote down. Is there, Commissioner Yaki?
I would just like to say a big thank you to Suzanne and April in your office for the decorations of everything that they've put up. And Commissioner Anderson, they did that on their time now, so don't fuss at me. And a lot of their expenditure. The second thing is, I shared with Dr. Garrett the generosity of the departments and the commissioners for the juvenile detention students. And Dr. Garrett, if nobody has objection, I'd like for you to just come up and say how you feel about the importance of helping Kelly and the staff down there as much as we can.
Okay, this is just an announcement. Is there any objection to that? All right, come on up. Yeah.
I almost said it earlier, but I didn't know if I could, so thank you so much. We just want to thank you for everything that you've done for our students there. Those students are experiencing some trauma, and we appreciate the generosity that you guys and all departments have extended toward our students. It will brighten their day and hopefully help us get them back on track and back in classrooms so they can learn and we can achieve. So we appreciate the generosity. Thank you so much.
All right, is there any other announcements before we adjourn? Christmas is upon us. We will have committee meeting, but Merry Christmas to all of you for sure if I don't get to see you. Anything else? Are we ready to adjourn? So motion somebody. There we go. Thank you.